Hello everybody, it's another great day. I don't even see a cloud on the sky, and it's nice and quiet, a little bit of breeze once in a while. This next video we filmed, we were on our way out to see that Pole Creek smelter, and we stopped and videoed this Cashe Site. Along with this site there comes a map. The map was given to Dan Lowe from one of his friends, and when he asked where he got the map from, he said he couldn't remember. So, you know, it's kind of sketchy to me thinking about it, but the details given in the story lend credit to the map, so there could be something there. What this Cashe Site is actually there's supposedly three cannons, some gold, there's a mine site there, and also armor that was thrown off the top of this knoll onto the south side of it and buried. It sounded like it was an Indian uprising, maybe, or the Indians found the Spaniards and killed them and knocked everything down off the knoll. This site is located pretty close to Indian reservation or Indian land, so be mindful when you're out looking where exactly you're at. Make sure that if you want to search on Indian reservation, you get permission from them first. But for this purpose, I don't think you'd have to be on the reservation. Just make sure that you know where you're at and not wandering onto it. If you want more information on this site after you listen to Dan talk about it, contact him. I'll leave the information to contact him at the end of this video or in the description of the video. So I hope you enjoy it. It's kind of a short one, but it's interesting, and if someone were to find it, it'd be really neat to find some Spanish cannons and gold and armor. It'd be interesting though, but anyway, good luck.
Are you open?
I'm open. So we got Dan and Steve up here, up top of
One place.
one place. And Dan's going to tell us a quick story about what we're looking at right here.
While we're on our way up to another place, we thought we'd stop and tell you the story about this place.
Do you want to scan to show them a little bit of the picture?
I will in a second. I'll just superimpose it over.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we have a map. We honestly don't know who drew it. We find no reason whatsoever as to whether it is authentic or not. Just because there's things on the map that you just can't make up and then have it fit a site, undetermined site. Obviously, whoever drew it knew this site quite well. But you'll notice the big ledge, the tall ledge, it's not long, It's that short, fat one. And it has a clearing down below it. And if you look real close, you'll see a diagonal trail right below it.
Oh yeah, I see that.
That's the trail that takes you up there.
Okay.
And that trail continues up a long way, and it stays on the forest side of the Indian boundary.
Okay.
And that Indian boundary goes up.
Is just
Up
to the
that way.
left of the ledge.
Right.
And just to caution you, try to avoid the objects that I told you about that are to the left. So as not to give away the location. Now, if you know where this is, you probably have what it takes to go investigate this. If you don't, then very well done. But you'll know when you see it.
Yeah.
Okay. From what we gather, and I think there's two stories that combine here, and I can't tell you where the second story came from, but I'm just going to merge the two together. Up above that ledge, you'll see a clearing, and you see kind of like one lone pine out in the middle of the clearing. But that is almost the top of the knoll. If you follow the clearing to the right, you'll be at the top of the knoll.
I see it.
The map shows that on the left side of that knoll is where the Indians buried armor, gold, and there were 3 cannons sticking out of the ground about 18 inches. Now, the first trip that we made up there, the weeds or grass or whatever it is in that clearing was about knee high. So if there is still something sticking out of the ground, the boys couldn't see it just because of the weeds. Now, one of those guys has since passed away, one of my best hikers, and one of my other excellent hikers, he's been up there, and as I recall, he had the same issue, just the weeds were too high. According to the map, to the right of that big ledge and down below, it shows, and we could probably even show this map. Okay. There's just a few things I might want to take off of it. But to the right of that ledge, it shows a patch of pine trees, which you can see on the sloping hill there.
Yes.
Now go to the right of that and up a little bit, and you will see a patch of quaking aspens.
Yes.
But they're getting harder to see because a lot of pines are growing in it now.
Taking over.
And somewhere in that patch of quakies is supposed to be a mine. Now, I've had 2 different expeditions up into that area, and so far they said there's no mine in there. So what gives with that, I have no idea. Maybe it was intended that the mine's in the pines. I don't know.
So who dug that mine?
Spanish.
Spanish?
Now, according to one of the other stories that we think merges in with this, on top of that knoll, we think there might have been a barracks. And the story was that the Indians snuck in there at night while they were sleeping and surprised them and killed them all.
That's why they buried all that stuff?
That's why they threw everything off the side of the hill and buried it on the side of the hill. Can't think too much more to even say about it. I just wish we knew where the map come from, who drew it, and why they drew it.
And I'll attach that map to this while they're talking. They can see where you're talking about.
Say again?
I'll attach the map as a picture in this video.
Okay. Now, I talked to the person I got the map from, and I believe his words were, "I do not remember where it came from." I don't know that this map has showed up in any of the publications. It may have, primarily because nobody really knew where it went.
Okay.
But anyhow, the other part that has nothing to do with what I just told you and now has to do with the Espejo map. On the Espejo map, it shows 3 armor cache sites, 2 of which we have an eyewitness account for. Okay? This is one of the ones that we have an eyewitness. Now that doesn't mean we know who he is. It doesn't mean we can call him up on the phone or whatever, or could have at one time. We don't know who he is. We only know the story behind it. And what it was is that the Indian boundary that goes up past that ledge and heads up towards that first patch of Quakies up above it, and pretty much up that draw there,
Where that
to the right of what I was calling a finger pointing.
right, there's like a rabbit. It looks like a rabbit clearing up there.
Say again?
The other patch looks like a rabbit sitting there.
You haven't been reading Kenworthy books, have you?
No.
Good. Okay. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Okay, where are we at?
I can see what you would think looks kind of like
It's
a rabbit.
the draw between the one you told me and the
You
rabbit.
see down lower, it looks like a finger pointing like this, or with this hand,
Okay.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, up above it, there's another one that looks like a finger pointing this way.
Okay.
He thinks it looks like a rabbit,
Oh,
but we'll let that slide. To the right of that is where the Indian fence line should be, but they never finished it. They just surveyed it. Well, I'm estimating this was probably back in the 50s, maybe the 60s, while they were surveying that fence line, and it's roughly 3/4 of the way up or a quarter way down. They came across on the forest side, they spotted a hole in the ground, and they figure it's about 10 feet off the fence line. Well, they went and grabbed a flashlight out of their saddlebags or whatever and went over and got down on their knees and looked down in there, and they said it was chock full of armor. Now, I don't know what kind of armor. I have my suspicions that it's going to be older armor, which dates back to the Roman era. Okay? Get away. God. Those big, ugly, creepy looking things when they land on you. Huh?
was that? Are you talking about those rock areas at the way up there?
No, way to the right of it's where the fence would be. See the next draw?
Yes.
You have a hill there.
Yes.
And on the other side of the draw, I think the fence line goes right up that.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so the guy that told me about it was told by one of the Indians. I can't remember who it was. I think I know the name, but I'm not going to mention it. It's the one that told him about it. So he decided to go up to try to find that hole, because when the Indians left it, they said that they put some 6-inch logs over the top of the hole and then piled rocks on top of it, and that's how they left it. Whether those logs are still intact or not, I don't know. If they brought it through, then it would have broken through and the rocks would have fallen in and everything. Otherwise, there's a pile of rocks up there somewhere. I don't know what year it was he decided to go up there. I'm guessing it would be in the late 70s, maybe into the 80s. He said he got about a quarter of the way up. So it's as you can see, it's going to be a hell of a hike.
Yeah, that sounds straight.
Especially if you're trying to stay with the fence line. And you better have GPS coordinates if you're going to follow that fence line, because like I said, they didn't build the fence, but there's bound to be survey markers, and I have no idea what those are going to be. If they tied little ribbons on the trees, I guarantee you they're gone. So they had to have marked it. Well, he got about a quarter of the way up there, and all of a sudden he hears this voice from off to his left side, and he hears this, "What are you doing up here?" And he whips around, and there's an Indian. You know, he's fairly nicely dressed, and he's sitting on his horse, and he says, "What are you doing up here?" And he says, "Well, I'm prospecting. I'm looking for gold." And he kind of ducked his head a little bit, and like he's thinking, and he raises his head back up, and he says, "You're too low. You need to go up higher." And he looked at him a little surprised, and he says, well, thank you. He says, but why would you help me? And he says, you're one of Arocha's friends. He says, I help you. And he says, well, I appreciate that. And he said, what's your name? And he says, that no matter. And he said something like good luck and turned around and rode off. And he knew it was getting late in the day, but he continued up for a ways, and then he started realizing there's no way he was going to make it up there. So he turned around and started back down so that he didn't get trapped in the dark. And he said for whatever reason, he just never had the time to come back up and try it again. So, but the point being, and how this ties into the Espejo map, is the far left location. As you know, that map has 3 armor cache sites on it. The one that's furthest to the left, according to the map, that's where it's at.
Or that's where we speculate it's at.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it has to be that location. It's just too dang close to it.
Now, why would they put their armor in a cave that far, you know, up?
Not far to the south of that was a mine.
Oh, okay.
So that
Okay.
could have been a good place for them
Okay.
to have cached it, you know, without having to dig a hole specifically for it.
Yeah. So are they saying that when they were doing that survey and they found that hole,
Yeah.
they saw a lot of armor? So there must have been a lot of gold in there too with the armor, or did they
It
say
didn't
that?
mention anything about gold. It was just armor.
Armor. Okay.
And on the Espejo map, it's marked with the symbol that would represent an armor cache.
Okay.
And the mine wouldn't be too much further to the south. Depending on where that fence line is, you could just about guesstimate where the mine should be, but that would be on Indian land. And so, but
Indian
for
land
that,
is that way.
for that reason, and sitting here looking at the side of that mountain, I don't have any doubt in my mind that I will never go up there.
Wow.
So if you got a damn good horse and you got what it takes, this would be an excellent one to put some time into.
So what you're saying is the armor cache is not necessarily on Indian land, but the mine would be.
Yes.
So I got another question. On the previous story, you said you had 2 expeditions, and one of them went looking through the Quakies, and did the other one go look around the ledges?
I don't know that they went around the ledges. I think they pretty much focused on the clearing up there, where the cannons should have been, and the gold in the armor. And I don't think they had any metal detectors with them.
So that would have been thrown off this way, on this side of the ledges, right?
South. Oh, say that again?
They would have thrown the armor and the Spaniards off this side down off the ledge,
Not
right?
off the ledge, no.
No.
See the clearing up there?
Where that lone pine tree is? They
Yeah.
threw it on the other side of
No,
that.
they threw it on the south side of the knoll. The knoll, you can almost see, if you follow the clearing up to the right,
Yeah.
then where it disappears in the trees,
Yeah.
that's where the top of the knoll is.
Okay.
So the south side of that knoll is the clearing.
Oh, okay.
So it's got to be somewhere in that clearing.
Okay, in the clearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing I had. What would you call this expedition?
I call it the knoll map.
The knoll map? Okay.
Yeah, or the Knowle Site. From where I'm sitting, I'd have to sit where you're sitting, but from where I'm sitting, you can see everything on that knoll that'll show on the knoll map.
Okay.
The drainage, everything.
No, thanks for sharing with that, Dan.
See,